Hey everybody, it's Famine from Famine Studios. We're working on the expansion of Gimmick Starport. I moved my old DVD rack in and started knocking out sections. This little guard post was part of my live builds. Here you see it in another place. I'm connecting the bridge with some offcuts from the shelf actually. And then here I am using liquid nails. I also used some wood screws a little bit later in the build to attach it. But I got myself a good 3-foot section of board. Normally I would use recycled wood as best I can, but I wanted something a little more sturdy and new, so I ran over to Lowe's and picked some up, and those red arrows indicate where I put the screws in. That back wall is going to get filled in. Now here where I said we make do, I couldn't run my saw at night. It was one of those things where I got that burst of energy in the middle of the night, so I took my my power drill, which is quiet, and I drilled several holes, and then I just used my saw to cut the radius, and then we cleaned it up. Here is where I started laying in the chunks of foam to create like stone-like texture, and I'm experimenting with a couple of different layouts for the pipes. That support beam that's there wasn't necessary, but it helped make me feel better about utilizing that space and putting anything that might be heavier on there, like ships or multiple ships for photography. Wound up putting that circular section from a used container, I can't even remember what it was, so that I could have a doorway for the larger creatures to go in. And the lore that I'm building in my head at this point is that this is the docks. This is the area where a lot of the big ships come in to drop off larger cargo that can't fit into the underhang of the city. Now here I've got some tubes and some containers that I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, maybe I'm going to use these for water storage or liquid, whatever I decide to go for. And you can see I removed the backing of that doorway because I realized I could just slide several different circular pieces of design in there to make different door patterns for different photos. So that's something we'll tackle later. But here I'm just like putting stuff up and seeing it where it sits, showing you there's a lot of space in there that needs to be populated. And it was a really fun exercise and kind of just like adult Lego. Like I was just sitting there and putting blocks in and moving them around, considering what could go where. Talking about the texture on here, a little bit later in the video you guys will see I do go in and texture that, and also texture that back wall. I add in some like stalagmites, little stalagmites, or is it stalactites? It's the one that hangs down. Here I decided to use that tube to make a water tower. I covered it in EVA foam and a bunch of greeblies. That's all trash, save for the ladder, which came from Diorama Accessories, and that piece of the grating from a Jason Jensen set. I went ahead and primed it, and I also added a little spacer on the bottom, and then here's the completed piece, all painted up, ready to go. A little down the road, I'm sure I'll put a water logo on there, some type of fictional space company that fits within the lore of Gimmick, but right now I figure that sells a water tank with the bolted shut container lid on there. We'll connect some pipes to it that'll fill it up and can be used for off-filling, and that will be pretty much it as far as that goes. Maybe another pass of weathering. Now here's how I made my pipes. 3/4 inch PVC pipes and connectors. They are all excess scrap pieces from cosplay builds. Actually, some of those pieces are bow and arrow pieces from my Green Lantern cosplay, or excuse me, my Green Arrow cosplay. I just use sandpaper to go in and try and knock down some of the higher points in the letters and stuff so it's not as apparent. But one of the easiest cheats that I've found, especially when you're making piping and ductwork and things like that, cut a strip of cardboard or cardstock, chipboard, whatever you want to use. I used the back of a cracker container. They were fancy crackers, very, very fancy, because my girlfriend makes bomb-ass charcuterie boards, and I just scuff the back up where it's smooth, and then I super glue it in place. And I just put a little glue, let it adhere, bend it over, put a little glue, let it adhere, and it makes a nice band on there. And then I just go around and cover up the areas where there's writing on the elbows. And I say writing, it's actually raised print on there. And I just go ahead and cover it up with those bands of cereal box, and it makes basically like plumbing connections. And you can rivet them up a little bit later. Here, like I said, I went in and adding texture. I have an aluminum foil ball, and I'm just rolling this over there. And this is probably, what, 3-speed, 4-speed? But I just took my time. I had some music playing in the background, and just, every so often I'd stop and make an extra ding in the material, mess up the surface a little bit, and really just give it some character. Because you got to think, it is carved out of stone. It's in an area, and that type of, traffic comes through. Here I cut some old blocks off of old pieces. Here's my whole gluing process for the little bricks. I do hand lay them in. I'm not too precious about them because I want it to look old and kind of slapdash back together with a little bit of respect for the original materials, but also, you know, it gets used. It's not, you know, held up on a high pedestal, and in the background you could see there, you're going to be able to see some of the pipes that I had already finished up. I riveted them with just some of those foam rivets that we used in one of our lives and gave them a good coating of metallics and rusting. Really made them look like they've, you know, taken a beating, but they're still serviceable. And here are those flat pieces of bricks that I cut off of my old walkway paths that I had used in another 112 diorama. I made some smaller bricks just to give it a little bit of decor, and I do jump around on bigger builds like this because I don't want to get too bored. Laying those bricks, while easy, can get tedious over a long time, so here I'm using my texture paste, which you guys have seen in one of the videos. Top secret, it's in the lives, you'll have to check it out, but it's super secret, don't tell anybody the recipe, but it is baking soda, Mod Podge, Eileen's tacky glue, and whatever paint of your choice, and I layered it on there twice and just stippled each time, and it gave it a really nice texture. Here I laid in some more stone, I created some more piping out of straws and wooden sticks, and then I started dry brushing, and I realized I didn't want necessarily like the common stone texture colorway where it's grays and browns. That's nice, but I want this to look alien, so I'm doing blues and purples. I'm probably going to do some more before I put a nice blue wash to unify it. And also over there on the bricks, you can see I did my Mod Podge and black paint, Black Magic Craft Sauce on there. And again, here's just a wider shot of the overall scope. I did start to add more space to the next level. We found the stairs that I had made fit right nicely there. So at this point, I'm really happy with how this build is coming along. It's been a lovely few, I'd say a few days worth of work, but it's just here and there. I'll work on something and then stop and move to something else. And wrapping this up, I've been working on using some of Aegis Station's doors. I like his doors. I'm adding all sorts of greeblies. I wanted to make this like a big mechanical, almost Fallout-esque vault door. It's got gigantic latches on it, you know, hoses and cables coming down. We don't know what it's for. It's just another way to get in and out of the station, and I like it. So again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We do a lot of stuff here. We do science fiction. We do world building. You're going to see space dinosaurs, you're going to see spaceships, you're going to see cosplay props on occasion, you're going to see real one-to-one scale prop building, you're going to see diorama tips and tricks that I've picked up over the years, things that I've created. We don't gatekeep here. We want to share everything with you that we can. My goodness, can you hear Miss Mama Snow sneezing in the background? So, as I said, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you want to help support the channel and support it even more, check out my patrons pages here. Thank you so much to those guys. They are all wonderful. If you want to subscribe to Patreon, got some wonderful rewards coming out very soon. I am taking my time on this initial batch because I want to make sure it's right, but also you guys get behind-the-scenes looks. You get behind-the-scenes vlogs. If you sign up for the free tier, it's a great way to just keep in touch and make sure that you're seeing my stuff, because we all know sometimes the algorithm doesn't show you things specifically. So again, hit that subscribe button on Patreon. Go sign up if you want to help donate for the cost of a cup of coffee, or maybe a little bit more for the month. You get some cool stuff. And hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are good. Enjoy your week. If you have any questions, drop them down below. If you got a favorite part of this, I'd love to hear it. Drop it in the comments. I go through and I respond to everybody. I'm going to get back to work, my real job, but I'm also going to get back to work because that's bothering me. That's got to get some paint on it, right? Like, that's just, it looks like wood. It doesn't. No, we gotta fix that. So, be well, guys. Too sweet me.